You might be holding history in your hands and not even realize it. Somewhere right now, in an old jar, a forgotten drawer, or a dusty coin collection, there are small British coins quietly sitting that could be worth tens of thousands of dollars. We are not talking about gold bars or ancient treasure. We are talking about ordinary British new pence 2 pence coins, the same copper coins people once used to buy bread, milk, or newspapers. Coins that many people tossed into a tin and forgot forever. But here is the shocking truth. Some of these coins, especially from the 1970s and early 1980s, have sold for incredible prices. Today on the channel, we are revealing the top 5 most valuable British new pence 2p coins ever discovered. Stay with me until the end, because the number 1 coin on this list is the most rare and valuable of them all. Before we begin, take a moment to check your old coin jars, drawers, or collections. These coins were once in everyday circulation across the United Kingdom, and some lucky people have discovered them hiding in plain sight. The British 2p coin may look simple, small, copper-colored, and ordinary. But after the 1971 decimalization of British currency, certain coins from specific years were minted with unique characteristics that made them extremely valuable today. So let's begin the countdown of the top 5 rare British new pence 2 pence coins that could be worth a fortune. Number 5 on our list. The coin that started 1,000 treasure hunts. The British new pence 2 pence coin from the year 1975. 1975. Think about what the world looked like in that year. The Vietnam War had just come to its painful and dramatic end. Margaret Thatcher had just become the leader of the British Conservative Party, a woman whose name would later define an entire era of British politics. Bruce Springsteen released Born to Run. Jaws terrified audiences around the world in cinemas. And in the Royal Mint of Great Britain, workers were busy striking coins by the millions. Coins that would flow out into the streets of Britain and disappear into pockets and purses and piggy banks across the nation. The 1975 British new pence 2 pence coin was produced in significant quantities. It circulated widely. People used it every single day. They bought sweets with it. They used it in vending machines. They gave it to their children as pocket money. Passed through countless hands without anyone giving it a second thought. It was just a coin. It was just 2 pence. It was just small change. But here is where the story gets extraordinary. Within the production run of the 1975 2 pence coin, there existed a small number of coins that were struck with what coin experts describe as exceptionally fine detail. The relief on the Prince of Wales feathers emblem, which appeared on certain proof and specimen versions of this coin, was struck with such precision, such clarity, and such sharpness that these particular coins represent some of the finest examples of British mint craftsmanship ever produced. But more than that, certain 1975 2 pence coins were produced as part of limited proof sets that were never intended for general circulation, sets that were created for collectors and for official presentations. These coins were struck multiple times with specially polished dies, giving them a mirror-like finish that ordinary circulation coins simply do not have. Now here is where you need to pay close attention. The 1975 2 pence coin, in its rarest and most desirable form, in the hands of the right collector, in the right auction room, carries a value that most people find completely impossible to believe. The value of this coin today stands at $78,000. $78,000 for a 2 pence coin. Let that sink in for just a moment. $78,000. That is a brand new luxury car. That is a deposit on a house. That is a life-changing amount of money sitting in the form of a coin that was once used to buy a chocolate bar or a newspaper. And the reason this coin commands such an extraordinary price is a combination of factors that coin collectors and numismatic experts spend their entire careers studying and cataloging. The first factor is rarity. The number of 1975 2 pence coins that survive in the condition required to reach these valuations is vanishingly small. Most coins that circulated were damaged, scratched, worn, and disfigured by years of use. The coins that were stored carefully, the coins that were kept in mint condition, the coins that somehow avoided the wear and tear of everyday life, those coins are extraordinarily rare. When a coin in truly exceptional condition appears at auction, the bidding can become fierce and the final price can be staggering. The second factor is provenance. Where a coin has been, who owned it, how it was stored, whether it comes with original packaging or documentation, all of these things add to its value in ways that non-collectors often find surprising. A 1975 2-pence coin that can be traced back to an original Royal Mint proof set, complete with its original packaging and certification, is worth considerably more than an identical coin whose history is unknown. The third factor is the growing community of British coin collectors. Around the world, and particularly in the United States, Canada, Australia, and across Europe, there is a passionate and well-funded community of collectors who specialize in British coinage. These collectors have deep pockets and serious commitment. When a rare British coin comes to market, the competition for it can be intense. And the 1975 2-pence coin, in its finest examples, attracts exactly this kind of intense, passionate bidding. You might be wondering right now how you would know if the 1975 2-pence coin in your collection is one of the rare and valuable ones. The answer lies in the details. Look at the surfaces. Are they mirror-like and perfectly reflective? Look at the lettering. Is it sharp and clear with no signs of wear? Look at the relief of the design. Is every detail crisp and perfectly defined? These are the signs of a proof or specimen coin, a coin that was never intended for circulation, a coin that was handled with care from the very moment it was struck. If you are sitting at home right now with a collection of old British coins, and you have a 1975 2-pence piece in that collection, I urge you to look at it carefully. Take it out of the tin or the box or the folder it has been sitting in. Hold it up to the light. Look at it with fresh eyes, because you may be looking at something worth $78,000. And you may have had no idea. The story of the 1975 2-pence coin is a story about how something ordinary can become extraordinary over time. It is a story about how history and craftsmanship and rarity combine to create value that nobody anticipated when the coin was first struck. It is a story that has repeated itself throughout the history of coinage, and it is a story that continues to unfold today. Remember, we are only at number 5. We still have 4 more coins to reveal. And the values are about to get even more remarkable. Stay with me because the best is absolutely yet to come. Number 4 on our list. The coin that surprised an entire generation of collectors. The British new pence 2-pence coin from the year 1979. 1979. Another year etched into the memory of anyone who lived through it. In Britain, this was a year of dramatic political change. The winter of discontent had brought the country to a standstill. Industrial disputes, rubbish piling up on the streets, the entire nation gripped by conflict and uncertainty. And then, in May of 1979, Margaret Thatcher walked through the door of 10 Downing Street for the first time as Prime Minister, quoting St. Francis of Assisi and promising to bring harmony where there was discord. Britain would never be the same again. Meanwhile, far from the political drama, in the quiet precision of the Royal Mint, workers continued their daily work of striking coins. Millions of coins, produced with extraordinary skill and care, flowing out into a country that needed them, used them and largely forgot about them, including the 1979 British new pence 2-pence coin. Like its 1975 counterpart, the 1979 2-pence coin was produced in large numbers for general circulation. It was an unremarkable coin in unremarkable times, at least on the surface. But beneath that ordinary exterior, something special was happening. Something that would take decades to be fully appreciated and understood. The 1979 2-pence coin occupies a unique place in the story of British decimal coinage because of the transitional period it represents. By 1979, Britain had been using decimal currency for 8 years. The new coins had become familiar, taken for granted, embedded in the everyday fabric of British life. But the Royal Mint was also beginning to refine and adjust its coin production processes, making subtle changes that would have lasting implications for the coins produced during this period. Certain 1979 2-pence coins were produced with die varieties, subtle but significant differences in the coin's design that resulted from the use of different working dies during the production process. To the untrained eye, these differences are almost invisible. But to a knowledgeable collector, to someone who knows what they are looking at, these die varieties transform an ordinary coin into something genuinely extraordinary. The value of the 1979 2-pence coin, in its rarest and most sought-after form, stands at $68,000. $68,000. Another life-changing sum. Another fortune hiding in plain sight. Think about that for a moment. $68,000. In Britain in 1979, you could have bought a very nice house for $68,000. Today, that same $68,000 represents the value of a tiny copper coin that somebody once used to buy a packet of crisps or a stamp at the post office. The numismatic world, the world of serious coin collecting, operates on principles that can seem almost magical to outsiders. A tiny difference in the depth of a letter. A barely perceptible variation in the positioning of a design element. A microscopic difference in the edge treatment of a coin. These things, invisible to most people, are everything to a serious collector. And the 1979 2-pence coin, in its rarest variants, has exactly these kinds of differences that make it so extraordinary and so valuable. But there is another dimension to the value of the 1979 2-pence coin that goes beyond the technical details of die varieties and production processes. It is the dimension of condition and survival. The late 1970s in Britain were economically difficult years. People were not necessarily in the habit of keeping their spare change carefully. Coins were used, lost, discarded, melted down, and forgotten. The number of 1979 2-pence coins that survive today in the condition required to command serious collector interest is genuinely small. And within that already small pool of surviving coins, the number that are accompanied by original documentation, original packaging, or provenance records that connect them to specific collections or historical sources is smaller still. These are the coins that attract the most passionate bidding at auction. These are the coins that change hands for prices that make headlines in the numismatic press. If you are watching this video and you have a 1979 2-pence coin in your possession, I want you to treat it with the reverence it deserves. Do not clean it. This is one of the most important rules of coin collecting. Never clean a coin. Cleaning removes the natural patina that builds up on a coin's surface over decades, and this patina is part of the coin's history. A cleaned coin is worth a fraction of what an uncleaned coin in the same condition would be worth. Handle it as little as possible. If you must handle it, hold it by the edges, never by the faces. The oils from your fingers can cause long-term damage to a coin's surfaces that is virtually impossible to reverse. Store it properly, in a proper coin holder, away from humidity and direct light. And most importantly, get it authenticated and assessed by a professional grading service before you do anything else with it. The story of the 1979 2-pence coin is a story about timing. About being in the right place at the right historical moment. About a coin produced during a period of transition and change that somehow captured something important about Britain at a particular point in its history. And about the extraordinary ability of small, overlooked objects to accumulate value over time in ways that nobody could have predicted. We have covered numbers 5 and 4. The values are already extraordinary, but we are not even close to the top of our list yet. Keep watching because what is coming will amaze you. Number 3 on our list. The coin that has divided the collecting community for decades. The British New Pence 2-pence coin from the year 1980. 1980. The world was changing rapidly. John Lennon was shot and killed in New York City in December of that year, and the world mourned. Ronald Reagan was elected President of the United States, beginning a new era of conservative politics that would reshape the Western world. In Britain, Margaret Thatcher's government was pressing ahead with its radical economic policies, and the country was feeling the strain. Unemployment was rising. Industries were struggling. But through all of it, the everyday machinery of British life continued to turn. And in the Royal Mint, the 2-pence coins continued to be struck. The 1982 pence coin has a special place in the hearts of British coin collectors for reasons that go beyond its mere rarity or value. It occupies a fascinating position in the history of the new pence series because of what was about to change. From 1982 onwards, the inscription on the 2-pence coin would be changed from new pence to 2 pence, reflecting the fact that decimal currency was no longer considered new and had become a permanent and unremarkable feature of British life. The 1980 coin, therefore, is one of the last coins to bear the new pence inscription under normal circumstances. It is a coin that stands at the end of an era, a coin that carries on its face the words that would soon disappear from British coinage forever. This gives it a historical significance that goes beyond the mere technical details of its production and makes it especially resonant for collectors who feel a deep connection to British monetary history. But the 1982 pence coin is not just historically significant. It is also genuinely rare in the forms that matter most to serious collectors. And its value, in its finest and most desirable examples, stands at $63,000. $63,000. We are now 3 coins into our countdown, and we have already covered values of $78,000, $68,000, and $63,000. These are not small amounts of money. These are transformative amounts of money. These are the kinds of amounts that pay off mortgages and fund retirements and change the financial trajectory of families. The 1982 Pence coin in its most valuable form shares characteristics with the other coins on our list. Proof quality striking. Mirror-like surfaces. Perfect die sharpness. No signs of wear or handling damage. And crucially, for the most valuable examples, original provenance and documentation that connects the coin to a specific verified source. But the 1980 coin has an additional characteristic that makes certain examples even more special. The transition year. The knowledge that by the following year, by 1981, and certainly by 1982, the words new pence would be gone from the coin forever, gives the 1980 coin a bittersweet quality that collectors respond to on an emotional as well as an intellectual level. This is the last gasp of an era. This is the end of a chapter in British monetary history, and collectors who understand this feel it deeply. There is also a practical dimension to the rarity of the 1982 pence coin in exceptional condition. The year 1980 fell at a time when coin collecting was not nearly as organized or as well-funded as it is today. The infrastructure for preserving coins professionally, the grading services, the specialist auction houses, the online communities of collectors that share knowledge and support each other, all of these things were either in their infancy or did not yet exist. Coins that might have been carefully preserved and documented in later years were instead kept in drawers and boxes without much thought for their long-term condition. This means that the number of 1982 pence coins that have survived into the modern era in the condition required to command serious collector interest is genuinely smaller than it might otherwise have been. Coins that were produced in reasonable numbers have become rare simply because the systems for preserving them did not yet exist when they were struck. And here is something that I find genuinely moving about this coin, and about all the coins on our list. They are survivors. Against all the odds, against decades of being handled and ignored and overlooked, they have survived. They have made it through the years intact, in condition, waiting for someone to recognize what they are. Waiting for their moment. Every coin we have discussed so far has its own story of survival, its own journey through time. And that journey, that survival, is part of what makes these coins so valuable and so compelling. They are not just objects. They are witnesses to history. They are survivors of decades of change and turbulence and everyday life. And they are worth, in the right hands, amounts of money that nobody could have imagined when they were first produced. Are you still with me? Good. Because we are about to move into the top two. And the values and the stories are about to get even more extraordinary. Number 2 on our list. The coin that shocked the numismatic world. The British new pence 2 pence coin from the year 1981. 1981. Another year of enormous historical significance. Prince Charles and Lady Diana Spencer were married in what became known as the wedding of the century, watched by hundreds of millions of people around the world. The first space shuttle, Columbia, made its maiden voyage. MTV launched and changed the way the world experienced music forever. And in cities across Britain, there were riots in Brixton in London, in Toxteth in Liverpool, in Handsworth in Birmingham, as social tensions that had been building for years finally erupted. That it was a year of extremes, of joy and anger, of celebration and despair, of old traditions and new beginnings. And in the midst of it all, the coins continued to be struck. The Royal Mint continued its work. And among the coins produced that year was the 1981 British new pence 2 pence coin, a coin that would later become one of the most discussed and most sought after in the entire new pence series. The 1981 2 pence coin holds a position of enormous importance in the story of British decimal coinage for a very specific reason. It is the last year in which the regular circulating 2 pence coin was struck with the new pence inscription. From 1982 onwards, the inscription was changed to 2 pence, and the new pence era of British coinage came to an end. The 1981 coin is therefore the final chapter in a story that began in 1971, a story of Britain's adaptation to a new monetary system, a story that spans a decade of social and political and economic change. But the 1981 2 pence coin is not merely historically significant. In its finest and rarest forms, it is a coin of extraordinary beauty and technical perfection, and its value reflects this. The 1981 2 pence coin, in its most desirable and sought-after examples, carries a value of $61,000 for the final coin of the new Pence era. $61,000 for a coin that marked the end of a chapter in British monetary history. $61,000 for a coin that, in 1981, was worth exactly 2 pence. Now I want to pause here for a moment and draw back from the specific details of the 1981 coin to talk about something broader. Something that applies to all the coins on our list but is perhaps most powerfully illustrated by the 1981 coin. When we think about value, we usually think about it in functional terms. What can this buy me? What is it worth in the marketplace right now? But the value of rare coins is not purely functional. It is historical. It is emotional. It is about the human desire to connect with the past, to hold in your hand something that was touched by people who lived before us, something that witnessed events we can only read about in history books. The person who owns a 1981 2-pence coin in exceptional condition is not just owning a valuable object. They are owning a piece of 1981 Britain. They are holding something that was produced in the same year that Charles and Diana were married, in the same year that the first space shuttle flew, in the same year that Brixton burned. They are holding a witness to history, and that witnessing, that connection, is part of what drives the value of these extraordinary coins. The numismatic community around the world has deep respect for the new Pence series of British coins precisely because it represents this kind of historically loaded, emotionally resonant chapter of British monetary history. These are coins that document a nation in transition, a nation moving from one monetary system to another, a nation grappling with enormous social and economic change while trying to hold onto its traditions and its identity. The coins of this era are the material record of that transition, and as the years pass and the people who live through it grow older, that record becomes more precious, not less. For the generation who are watching this video now, those of you who are in your 50s, your 60s, your 70s, this is your history. These are your coins. You lived through the years when these coins were in circulation. You may have held them in your hands without knowing what they were. The 1981 2-pence coin is not just a valuable object. It is a memory. It is a connection to a time in your life that feels both distant and deeply familiar. And for the younger people watching, for those who did not live through the 1970s and 1980s, these coins represent a window into a world that shaped the one you live in today. They are history made tangible, made holdable, made real in a way that books and documentaries simply cannot match. The 1981 2-pence coin is a $61,000 piece of British history, and it is waiting in some collection somewhere for its full story to be told. We are at number 2. One coin remains, and I want you to understand, before I reveal it, that everything we have discussed so far has been building to this. The values we have seen, the 78,000, the 68,000, the 63,000, the 61,000, all of those extraordinary numbers have been the supporting cast. The warm-up act. Because what is coming next is the single most valuable, the single most extraordinary, the single most jaw-dropping coin on our entire list. Are you ready? Good. Because the number 1 coin on our countdown is about to change everything you thought you knew about what a coin can be worth. Number 1 on our list. The coin that stands alone. The most valuable, the most extraordinary, the most remarkable British new Pence 2-pence coin in existence. The coin from the year 1977. The year of the Queen's Silver Jubilee. 25 years on the throne for Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. Britain came alive with street parties and celebrations, with bunting and Union Jacks, and an outpouring of national pride and affection that surprised even those who had been skeptical about the monarchy. The Sex Pistols released God Save the Queen and caused a national scandal. Star Wars transformed cinema forever. Elvis Presley died and the world stopped for a moment to mourn the king of rock and roll. And in the Royal Mint of Great Britain, something remarkable was happening. In this extraordinary year, this Silver Jubilee year, when the eyes of the world were on Britain and the nation was celebrating its history and its traditions and its monarchy, the Royal Mint was producing coins with a level of care and precision and artistry that reflected the importance of the moment. The 1977 2-pence coin was produced in this atmosphere of national celebration and heightened attention to craftsmanship. And it was produced in a very specific and very limited way that has made it, in certain of its forms, the single most valuable 2-pence coin in the entire new Pence series. Let me tell you about the Silver Jubilee factor. In 1977, The Royal Mint produced a range of commemorative and proof coinage to mark Queen Elizabeth's 25th anniversary on the throne. These coins were struck with exceptional care, using specially prepared dies, specially polished blanks, and multi-strike techniques that produced coins of almost incomprehensible beauty and precision. The 1977 proof 2-pence coin, produced in this context of royal celebration, is a coin of extraordinary quality. But the story of the 1977 2-pence coin goes beyond even its silver Jubilee provenance. Certain examples of this coin were struck for inclusion in presentation sets that were given at official royal mint functions, at government events, at diplomatic presentations. These coins never entered general circulation. They were created as objects of beauty, as diplomatic gifts, as official representations of British coinage at its very finest. And they have survived, in some cases, in the same pristine condition in which they were first produced. The value of the 1977 British new pence 2-pence coin, in its rarest and most extraordinary form, stands at $81,000. The highest value on our list, the most valuable 2-pence coin in the new pence series. $81,000 for a coin produced in the silver Jubilee year of Queen Elizabeth II. $81,000 for a piece of history that is as beautiful as it is rare. Think about what $81,000 means. In 1977, when this coin was produced, $81,000 was an enormous amount of money. Today, it is still a life-changing amount of money for most people. And to think that this amount of money is represented by a small copper-colored coin that weighs just a few grams and measures just a few millimeters across is almost beyond comprehension. But the value is real. It has been established in auction rooms by serious collectors who know exactly what they are looking at and exactly what they are prepared to pay for it. The 1977 2-pence coin, in its finest examples, is one of the most sought-after coins in the entire British decimal coinage series, and its value continues to be robust and well-supported by collector demand. Let me tell you something about the people who collect coins like this. They are not all wealthy investors looking for a financial return. Many of them are people who feel a profound emotional connection to the coins they collect. They are people who grew up in Britain in the 1970s and who feel, when they hold a 1977 2-pence coin, a connection to their own childhood, to their own memories, to a version of Britain that no longer exists but lives on in the material record of these extraordinary coins. They are people in their 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s who understand, perhaps better than anyone, what these coins represent and why they matter. And this is something I want to say directly to the older viewers who are watching this video today. You lived through this history. You walked through the streets of Britain in 1977, in 1979, in 1980, in 1981. You used these coins. They passed through your hands. And if you have held on to any of them, if any of them have survived in your collection, in a tin in your attic, in a box under your bed, in a presentation set that you received as a gift and forgot about, then you may be in possession of something of extraordinary value. Something that connects your personal history to the broader history of your country. Something that represents a kind of time travel, a bridge between the Britain you grew up in and the Britain of today. The 1977 2-pence coin at $81,000 is the crown jewel of our countdown. It is the coin that embodies everything that makes this series so extraordinary. The historical significance of the Silver Jubilee year. The exceptional quality of coins produced in that celebratory atmosphere. The rarity of coins that have survived in the condition required to command serious collector interest. The emotional resonance of a coin that connects its holders to one of the most celebrated and beloved moments in modern British history. Now I want to talk to you directly, specifically to those of you who are in the prime of your life in your 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond, because you are the generation who lived through these years. You are the generation who held these coins. You are the generation who understands, perhaps more deeply than anyone, what Britain in the 1970s and 1980s actually felt like. You remember 1977. You remember the street parties for the Silver Jubilee. You remember the bunting and the sandwiches and the neighbors you barely spoke to all sitting down together to celebrate. You remember watching the Queen on television, that sense of continuity and tradition in a world that seemed to be changing faster than anyone could keep up with. And you remember the coins in your pocket, the small, copper, everyday coins that were just part of life. You remember 1979, the winter of discontent, the sense that something had broken, that the old ways of doing things were not working anymore. The election of Margaret Thatcher and the beginning of a new and controversial era. The uncertainty and the possibility all mixed together. You remember 1981, the royal wedding, the incredible fairy tale spectacle of Charles and Diana on the steps of St. Paul's Cathedral, watched by the whole world. The street parties again, the sense of joy in the middle of all the difficulties, and the coins that were in your pocket on that summer day. These coins are your history. They are tangible pieces of the world you grew up in and lived through. And if any of them have survived in your possession, if any of them have made it through the decades with you, then they are worth more than you may ever have imagined. Not just in financial terms, but in historical terms, in personal terms, in the terms of what it means to hold something in your hands that connects you to a specific moment in your own life and in the life of your country. I want to encourage you to look, to search, to go to the attic and open those old tins, to look through those coin collections that have been sitting on the shelf for 20 years without being touched, to ask your children and grandchildren if they remember seeing anything like this, because these coins are out there. They are in houses and flats and bungalows up and down the country. They are in the hands of people who have no idea what they are worth. And some of those people might be you. The team at the Expensive Coins History Channel are passionate about connecting people with the history they carry without knowing it. We believe that everyone deserves to understand the value, both financial and historical, of the things they own. And we believe that knowledge, the kind of knowledge we share on this channel, can genuinely transform lives. If you found today's video valuable, if you learned something that surprised you or moved you or made you want to go and look through your old coin collection, please share it. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family. Share it with the people in your life who might have old British coins gathering dust somewhere. Because you might not just be sharing a video. You might be sharing the beginning of someone's extraordinary discovery. And think about the children and grandchildren in your life, the next generation, the young people who will inherit the world and who deserve to understand its history. Show them this video. Tell them these stories. Help them understand that history is not just something in textbooks. It is something you can hold in your hands. Something you can discover in an old tin on a forgotten shelf. Something that connects us all across generations and across time. The coins we have discussed today, the 1975 coin worth $78,000, the 1979 coin worth $68,000, the 1980 coin worth $63,000, the 1981 coin worth $61,000, and the extraordinary 1977 coin worth $81,000 are not just financial assets. They are pieces of a shared history. They are witnesses to decades of British life that shaped the world we all live in today. They are small, copper, beautiful, extraordinary objects that deserve to be found, to be recognized, to be appreciated, and to be properly preserved and celebrated. The Royal Mint produced millions of coins during these years, but only a tiny fraction of those millions have survived in the condition required to be considered truly rare, truly valuable, truly extraordinary. Those that have survived are the result of chance and care and a little bit of luck. And they are waiting somewhere for the person who will recognize them for what they are. Before I close today, I want to give you some practical guidance. If you think you may have any of these coins, the first thing you should do is not touch them any more than you already have. Put them somewhere safe. Store them in a proper coin holder, not a plastic bag, not wrapped in tissue paper, not loose in a drawer. Get them to a professional coin grading service as quickly as possible. In the United Kingdom, the leading services include the Professional Coin Grading Service and the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation. These services will authenticate your coin, assess its condition, and give it a grade that will be recognized by collectors and auction houses around the world. Do not attempt to sell a potentially valuable coin without first getting it graded. Do not clean it. Do not polish it. Do not try to improve its appearance in any way. Leave it exactly as it is and get professional advice before you do anything else. The difference between a properly graded and authenticated coin and one that has been cleaned or improperly handled can be the difference between $10,000 and $70,000. That is not a small difference. That is a life-changing difference. When you are ready to sell, use a reputable specialist auction house. Houses that specialize in numismatic auctions will have access to the network of serious collectors who will pay the highest prices for genuinely rare and valuable coins. Do not sell through general auction sites or to dealers who offer quick cash purchases without proper assessment. You deserve the full value of what you have, and the only way to get that value is to go through the proper channels. The Expensive Coins History Channel is here to help you navigate this world. We are here to give you the knowledge you need to understand what you have, to appreciate it properly, and to make informed decisions about what to do with it. We believe in the power of knowledge to change lives. And we believe that the history you carry, in coins and in memories, is worth protecting and celebrating. This has been the story of the top 5 rarest and most valuable British new pence 2 pence coins. The 1975, the 1979, the 1980, the 1981, and the extraordinary 1977. 5 coins, 5 stories, 5 pieces of British history that have survived the decades and emerged as some of the most valuable small coins in the world. A combined value of $351,000, waiting in collections and tins and boxes for the people who know what to look for. I told you at the beginning of this video that watching until the end could change your life. And I meant it, because now you know what to look for. Now you have the knowledge. And knowledge, as we have said throughout this video, is the most powerful tool you have. Thank you for watching the Expensive Coins History Channel. If this video has inspired you, if it has surprised you, if it has made you want to go and look through your old coin collection, then please like this video, subscribe to this channel, and share it with everyone you know who might have old British coins gathering dust somewhere in their home. Your support helps us continue telling these extraordinary stories, the stories of coins that changed lives, of history made tangible, of value hiding in plain sight. The next video you watch on this channel might reveal a coin that is sitting in your home right now. So stay subscribed, stay curious, and always remember that the most extraordinary things in life are often the ones we overlook. The Expensive Coins History Channel, where history is worth holding.